Hello, my name is Khen, and I'm a PhD candidate at the Scripps Institution of Oceanography, UCSD, and Dr. Jennifer Smith's lab. My research focuses on the long-term responses of coral reefs to global climate change, but in my spare time, I make art that incorporates or is inspired by the natural beauty of algae. I'm excited today as part of California Seaweed Festival to show you some of what I've come up with over the years. First of all, I'm a self-taught scientific illustrator, and I like to make digital drawings of marine life using Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. I've found that these are useful for explaining certain scientific concepts, such as the ecological role of crustose coralline algae, CCA, on a coral reef, or a phase shift from reef builders to fleshy algae. I've drawn everything from the green sea slug Elysia, which is a parasite on the alga codium, commonly known as dead man's fingers. The sea slug can suck out chloroplasts from the alga and can then photosynthesize on its own. I've drawn the life cycle of acetabularia, or mermaid's wineglass, which resembles a flower, as well as halimeda, the tropical green calcareous macroalga, and the process by which it reproduces, dies, and the segments break down into sand. I've made various educational diagrams, which I provided as a study guide to students in my advisor's phycology class. Phycology is the study of algae, by the way. And this was helpful, especially for the visual learners, myself included, to try to take in all of the detailed information. And I've arranged several of my illustrations as digital seaweed pressings. My drawings of red, brown, and green algae here were inspired by Ernst Haeckel, one of my favorite artists because of the scientific accuracy. As you can imagine, with my ever-growing collection of digital algae drawings, there are endless possibilities for what I can put together, such as this mandala design, which I ended up getting custom printed on a pillow. Moving on from digital art, I've also made several crafts using real pressed seaweeds. For example, gel printing, as you can see here, using the seaweed as a stamp. Or gluing already pressed seaweeds onto a candle, which then looks even more elaborate when it's lit up. I've also made different keychains and jewelry pieces using seaweeds. My mom is actually a fused glass artist, and on the bottom left, you can see what happened when we fired seaweed between two small tiles of glass in a kiln. Basically, only the carbon remained after the organic material had burned away. I'm also known for my seaweed phone cases, placing pressed seaweed, sometimes spray painted like the middle one, inside of a clear phone case. And I've experimented a lot with resin, which starts out as a two-part liquid that, when mixed, cures or hardens into a clear solid within a day or two. I've found that casting seaweeds in resin is not only a good way to preserve them, but also display them. And usually I'll use a silicone mold from which I'll remove the resin cast. But in my opinion, they're also beautiful when cast directly inside plates for decoration. Natural wood also complements seaweed pressings well, and I made these using cheap materials from a craft store. This decoration was made by placing already pressed seaweeds in between two sheets of laminating paper, or essentially large clear stickers. The pressing was secured inside of an embroidery hoop with a suction cup and hook on top and hung against a window. There are other hanging decorations you can make with anything from glass, gluing the seaweed on the surface, to clay, using the seaweed as an imprint and painting over it, and even soap, though sometimes the pigment will leak out, mostly for the red seaweeds. Perhaps my most dedicated piece of algae art has been my tattoo, which I got the day after I passed my qualifying exam, based on a piece of Stephanocystis, or chain bladder kelp, that I found while walking along the beach. Put a spin on traditional pressing methods, my signature seaweed pressings are usually miniature sized, and they always make for nice holiday gifts. My latest form of seaweed art has been using photo editing to add a kaleidoscope effect to a picture of a seaweed pressing. I've made many of these, and they turn out even more exquisite than the pressings themselves already are. Here are others, and even more. So hopefully this has sparked some ideas for what you can make on your own, or at the very least has showcased some of the ways in which seaweeds can be used for art. I'd like to acknowledge my advisor, Dr. Jennifer Smith, for passing on her contagious passion for seaweeds down to me and teaching me everything I know about them. Thank you so much for listening. Please feel free to reach out with any questions or comments.